The Game Awards happened last week, and there are some big losers and some big winners, and we'll be talking about those winners and losers in today's video. My name is the Techno Jelly. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already if you enjoy this type of content. Now let's get right into the video. So starting off, we'll just talk about the big one, the biggest loser, and that is Highgaurd. Highgaurd is a new game, and it was the last reveal of the Game Awards this year, and I do have to say, even though the game itself looks fine, the problem is this is not a last reveal worthy game. What Highgaurd is that from what I can tell, it is going to be a PvP game with almost like MOBA-like mechanics, in my opinion, through killing of monsters, gaining experience, potentially leveling up your character, unlocking abilities and stuff like that, and then trying to fight over an objective to unlock a siege tower thing, and then this siege tower thing can break open a shield for your opponent's base, and then you blow up their opponent's base. So it seems that it's going to have like a MOBA objective focused thing. I don't think there's going to be minions or lanes necessarily. It does seem like it's a combination of a lot of multiplayer genres that are quite popular right now, with hero shooters, MOBAs being the two big ones. But the problem is that this studio that is making it said they were from ex-developers of Titanfall and Apex Legends, which is fine. The problem is when you use the word Titanfall, people get really excited. And what this game is a hero shooter and a MOBA. So it's like an Overwatch and Valorant and Paladins with maybe some Smite and like Paragon if you want to go like really hipster. What this isn't is a Titanfall successor, which is what everyone thought it might be when people were like, oh, when Jeff on the stage was talking about from the creators of Titanfall and Apex Legends, and he was hyping this trailer saying he's played it and stuff like that. And I do have to say that is probably why everyone is so disappointed in this game, simply because this is not a last reveal trailer worthy game. Because if we took that out, like I said before, the game looks fine. It doesn't look like a bad game, but unfortunately, it just seems that either maybe they paid the most so they could, get the game out there, but it really does feel like it is a missed opportunity because of the style of game it actually is. Because if this was just in the middle of the Game Awards, I don't think anyone would care. Like, I think some people would be like, oh, that looks like a cool multiplayer game. But the fact that it was the last reveal is why everyone's so disappointed with it. Because, honestly, it is just really unfortunate. Because, once again, I said the game doesn't look bad. And it's coming out next year soon. It's going to be available to play in January, which is interesting. But unfortunately, this is one of those games where I'm going to try to play it right away for free, obviously, because it's going to be free to play. But I'm not expecting to be able to play it in a year after it comes out, because I'm expecting the game to be shut down by then. Because it just feels like it's another multiplayer game that doesn't really have staying power. Now, once again, I'm doing this off of a 2 minutes and 36 seconds trailer and being immensely disappointed that this was the final reveal from the Game Awards. This game could be a lot better than people are saying. The problem is that I feel like some people aren't going to be doing what I'm doing, and they're just going to write this game off. And it's all power to them, Like, they weren't impressed by the trailer. The circumstances that they got announced in made a lot of people disappointed, and I feel like barely anyone's going to try this game. Now, luckily, it's going to be free to play, so that might entice more people to try it, because what a lot of people are comparing this game to is Concord. And Concord had a severe disadvantage of, one, being a PlayStation exclusive, and two, being paid. This one's going to be on Steam, PS5, and Xbox, so there isn't going to be any exclusivity problems, and it's going to be free to play. So the barrier of entry is literally download, which is good, because I don't think if it had a paid price tag, I don't think this would be actually doing anything, really. And for me, that was the biggest loser. And honestly, I would say like the biggest loss of the Game Awards. I think all the other trailers hit pretty well for the target audiences. Now, obviously, there are some trailers that everyone isn't into, but for the most part, I think the required audience for the trailers hit properly. So I'm going to start talking about some good ones, some good winners. First off, we have to talk about the two Tomb Raider games. We're going to talk about Tomb Raider Catalyst that was announced first. I'm pretty sure it was announced first. Now, this one is going to be interesting because this is a brand new game, and it seems like almost brand new reimagining of Lara Croft again, kind of going back to the original Lara Croft. Because even though I enjoyed the 2015 reimagining of Lara Croft, this new one looks like she's got the shorts, the tank top, she has pants in this one, sorry. But she's got the tank top, she's got the dual pistols, she has that little grappling hook thing. So it looks like they're going back to Lara Croft being a badass, which I agree with, because while I enjoyed the 2015 games, that was her becoming Lara Croft. That was her gaining the confidence to become Lara Croft. She is already Lara Croft, it seems like, in Tomb Raider Catalyst, which is good. I think we need more just, confident Lara Croft. And, I guess I get all the Tomb Raider games are unrealistic, but I feel like unrealistic, acrobatics and stuff like that to do in Lara Croft, I think those things are enjoyable in the Tomb Raider games. Now, don't get me wrong, Lara Croft did some crazy stuff in the reimagining of 2015 games and onwards, but I feel like a lot of people, it was definitely muted a little bit, and she also had different weapons and stuff like that, and there's like an upgrade system and skill trees from what I remember. And I really hope instead for this one, Lara Croft knows what Lara Croft knows, and she gets upgrades in terms of equipment. I'd be totally down to do this like a Zelda game where Link doesn't improve, your equipment does. Lara Croft's equipment can be improved, like her guns can be upgraded, she can get cool new gadgets and stuff, but I want Lara Croft to be as cool as Lara Croft. Lara Croft doesn't need to be upgraded, Maybe her tools do, but Lara Croft herself doesn't need to be upgraded, and I really hope that. We are going to be waiting until 2027 for that one. So I'm excited, and I'm interested to see with the actual tomb aspect and how the game's going to be, if it's going to be an open world game or if it's going to be more of a linear story. We don't really know. There hasn't been that much said, at least from what I can tell, in terms of the stuff. I'm happy the dual pistols are back and her more classic outfit is back. I do personally think the shorts are crazy for the stuff she's doing, because man, does some climbing rocks in shorts hurt. And, all the stuff that she does, don't get me wrong, she could tank it. We already know that. But I'm glad she's in pants, because, man, her legs would have been destroyed. But the second game that we're getting from Lara Croft is Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. Now, this one is going to be fun because it is a reimagining of the first game in a new modern engine with all the classic Lara Croft stuff. The crazy acrobatics, the dual pistols, the dinosaurs. I'm down for this because even though it's true, it is a remake, basically. It is a remake in a full essence. Like, it is a new engine, a new everything, right? So at least we're getting new everything. It's not like a copycat remaster of the ones that already were remastered. Because true, the game's remastered already, but this one I hope is also upgrading the control scheme, and they're probably doing something new. So I'm glad that this is like, it's a full remake. There is no secrets about it or anything like that, which I think is a good thing. And honestly, I kind of just missed Lara Croft games. So I'm glad that they're kind of back and they're doing their own thing. I'm happy because they aren't owned by Square Enix anymore. I don't actually remember who owns Tomb Raider right now. Okay, so they are still owned by Embracer Group, it looks like. So at least, oh god, Embracer Group is a whole other thing, but I guess we'll see how it does. And it does seem like, at least from what I'm reading, that they're treating these games as like she is already Lara Croft, because the 2015 games made by Crystal Dynamics are considered her origin story, which makes sense. She was, even, it's kind of weird to say this because of course her name is still Lara Croft, but she wasn't Lara Croft yet as we know her, but now she is, which is good. I'm glad. And then after that, let's talk about the Total War Warhammer 40,000 game that I can't wait to play. I personally am a huge Warhammer 40k nerd, but like I don't do a lot of the miniatures because I'm just not that type of person, but I love the 40k universe and world, and I do enjoy the video games, and I've always wanted a Total War version of it, because while I do enjoy the fantasy Total War Warhammer games, I'm not a fantasy Warhammer player really. And and I'm way more into the world of 40K than I am the fantasy side, and I'm so happy that we are getting a Total War Warhammer 40K game. It looks great. I'm slightly worried with the trailer. It is still pretty early on, and I don't think we got a release date or anything like that. So at least we know that it's not anytime soon, most likely. It's probably a 2027 or beyond game, because the human faction, at least the Space Marines, looked like they were just recolors, which is just not true. The Space Marine chapters are very different, and their gameplay style, I hope, would be different. Though the problem is do you have enough Space Marines to be their own faction for Total War? Or is it like the humans and then they have Space Marines? Like, is the Imperials with the Space Marines, or the Space Marines a separate faction in this gameplay style? But I mean, hey, that's still cool. I'm interested to see what other factions we can play. I hope we know probably from the trailer that we can play as orcs as well, and obviously the humans, but how many human factions are there? Are they separated through the Space Marine chapters or not? We also are seemingly going to be able to do a lot of things in actual space, so it's not going to be just ground battles, which is interesting. I hope they try to do some space stuff, because the Imperial fleet and the space battles in 40K, I think, are an underutilized thing in 40K, and it'd be interesting to see like the logistics, if we can do that or not, like almost like a Battlefront 2 conquest mode where you have to do the space battle to then start the ground invasion style stuff. I think that'd be really cool. Obviously it'd be a little bit more in depth because, you know, it's a Total War game, but understandably I'm very interested in this, and people can worry about the DLC for these types of games, but 40K players are already used to that. I mean, they literally do it with physical DLC in terms of the actual miniatures, so it's probably not that big of a deal to them, and it kind of makes sense because, you know, it is a big thing for Warhammer, and I think they'll be okay with the DLC potentially, as long as like not too many main factions are DLC. I would say, like, I'm totally cool with the regular factions being that, but yeah, it is needed to be on hold for the DLCs. I'm cool with DLCs, but hopefully it's not like, oh, you can't play like the Eldar unless you're DLC, because that would suck, because like, you know, they're like literally a main faction. So we'll see how that goes. And then finally, we do have to talk about Divinity. Now, this trailer is insane and it's crazy, and the trailer is messed up and it's awesome, but it just shows the craziness that is the Divinity games. Now, I'm going to be a noob here and say I don't know the difference between Divinity and Divinity Original Sin. I don't necessarily know what the difference is, because this is not Divinity Original Sin 3, this is Divinity. So I'm not entirely sure what the difference is, and it was a full CG trailer, so we don't actually know what type of game it is. Now, it is Larian Studios, so I'm assuming it's going to be a top-down CRPG turn-based, but we don't know for sure. It's a good chance. I would bet good money on it being a turn-based RPG, top-down, grid-based of some kind. But overall, we don't know for sure. But it looks like it's going to be a lot darker and messed up in Divinity. Now, to be fair, Divinity is a much darker universe than something like a Baldur's Gate, so it does make sense. And it's going to be interesting to see what the lessons they learned from the Baldur's Gate 3 game, because there are some things about Baldur's Gate 3 that are really good. Some things that are kind of annoying, like, you know, the saves coming and stuff like that. But Divinity is a much darker game, so I wonder how they're going to do with companions and stuff. Like, if the companions can just straight up die or something like that. I mean, the game itself looks really messed up, and the CG trailer is a very adult trailer. So it's going to be interesting to see what the world and story is. And I'm in, basically. It's also because it is Larian Studios, so there's a certain amount of trust that I have personally for Larian, and I know they're going to make a good game. Now, the one slightly sad thing is that there's 0 dates. There's no dates at all, basically, and it is going to be probably a few years, and then it's going to come out in early access, and then it'll go through early access, and then it'll be good for 1.0. But the problem is that this is probably going to be a couple years away from now, I would say, or at least it's going to come out in early access in a year or two, and then 1.0 isn't going to be for a little bit. But that's kind of the Larian Studio way. That's how they do things. So it does make sense. It's just unfortunate that it is a slight bummer that there is no 0 dates. Like, there is no dates, there's no release dates, there's nothing. Not an early access date. I'm down, I'm into it. And I feel like I need to replay Divinity 1 and 2 because I don't remember enough about Divinity to understand what is happening and why this stuff is happening. But it's going to be really exciting. So I'm really excited. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Please comment down below what your favorite trailer is. I know I only talked about a couple of the trailers because there's so many trailers. So let me know what your big wins were and big losses were in the comments down below. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you dislike it. I completely understand. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you'd like to support me directly, go over to my Patreon at patreon.com/thetechnojelly. You can join all of these nice people going across the screen right now. You also get access to a once-a-month live stream as well as a poll to vote on that live stream, and we can hang out together. If you'd like to follow me on other platforms, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.